Hello everyone, happy Victober to you, and I am here for another author ranking video. This time I want to talk about Charlotte Mary Yonge, BookTube's most underrated Victorian author. I am just going to keep talking about her until she starts being read so much because I think her books are very, very special and underrated, and she is the Victorian author I never knew that I always needed. I've said this before, but her books to me are, I love Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. There's just this really special quality about it. But then every single one of Louisa May Alcott's other books, I didn't love as much. I didn't love nearly as much. And Charlotte Mary Yonge's books are what I was hoping that Louisa May Alcott's other books would be. So it's just a dream to have found her and have so many books ahead of me. And then I love a good reread. So coming back to old favorites, I just feel so lucky to live in a time where I can so easily access her books as an ebook. They're really hard to access physically. So that is an unfortunate thing. But I will talk about the books, how I have them ranked, and I think I will go least favorite to most favorite, like I like to do. And coming in last place, and this is a bit of a cheeky last place because I never finished it, but I do want to talk about it, and that is, so this is the 9th, The Clever Woman of the Family. I have tried 2 times to make it through this book, and there is something about it. It's so weird when it's an author that you love, and most of the time, their book is a total home run with you, right? And then some books, it's like, is this by the same author? Why is this book such a struggle? All of her books feel so natural to read. And this one and then the next one just feel so laborious to read. And it's very frustrating to me because when you have an author that you love, you want to love every single book by them, but that doesn't always happen. And The Clever Woman of the Family, I love the notion of the plot where it's all of these women living, very few and far between male characters, and they're all living in a seaside community. And the notion of that, right? It sounds amazing. Unfortunately, it just is something in the execution. I don't know, maybe there's more social commentary than I'm used to. I can't even tell you what it was. So I'm very frustrated with myself that I haven't fallen in love with The Clever Woman of the Family or the following book, which I did finish, and that is called The Daisy Chain. The Daisy Chain is one that is very loved in Charlotte Mary Yonge circles, and it's one of those that, again, very frustrated with myself. I want to love it. And I think that, to me, The Daisy Chain, it felt a bit didactic. When I started reading it, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be another new favorite Charlotte Mary Yonge. I love it so much. And then it's that as time went on, I enjoyed it less and less. Now, I will say there were some parts that I really loved about it. The main character of Ethel May, I loved her so much. I thought she was so wonderfully spirited, and just her character was so dynamic to read about. I loved all those aspects of it. But then it was something in the pacing of the plot, it just really threw me. And so it was a bit of a struggle for me to finish. And so one that I didn't really fall in love with that much. So then number 7 is The Little Duke. So I'm pretty sure it's last October was when I read this. I listened to it on audio with my boys. This is a historical novel. So historical novels are always going to be more of a challenge for me. But since it was a children's historical novel, I thought, I think I can tackle it. But since it was Victorian, I thought it's still going to be more challenging than historical novels today. That being said, it was very character driven, and I found it really interesting to learn about this time period, although I was somewhat confused because I didn't know much about the time period that it was set in. It's Richard of Normandy. I knew nothing about him. And it was interesting because it was telling you facts about history, but very much in Charlotte Mary Yonge's sentimental and warm style, and kind of the hard lessons that Richard has to learn and the ways that he struggles with his weaknesses and his habits. So I did enjoy it. I definitely enjoyed it, and I was glad that I enjoyed it. But the other books I continue to enjoy each book more than that one. So then next is The Stokesley Secret. This is a governess story, which was fun to happen upon because I feel like the Brontes kind of are the Victorian governess stories I know about, and then I don't know about too many more. So this was really delightful. Christabel is the governess's name, but they all call her Miss So-and-so, and of course I forget her last name now, but her first name was so unique. And she is supposed to be the guiding light of this family of children. While their parents are away in the city, their mother is sick. And so they're trying to find the best healthcare they can for her. And what I loved was how this really felt like a school book. And as a homeschooling mom, it was really fun to read about a book of homeschoolers. And seeing how they struggle with mathematics, and then they'll have breaks where they spend time being refreshed in nature. For those of you who know the educational theorist Charlotte Mason, this seemed very Charlotte Mason. So I loved that about it. Yeah, it just had a lot to love about it. It was shorter, and so that's why it is ranked number 6. I wish that it had been longer. That was the only deficiency, though, was the length itself. So that was really enjoyable and just one that I'm glad to have read now, and I'll definitely come back to it again at some point. Then number 5 is Countess Kate. This is one that I really recommend for reading aloud to children. So I haven't done that yet with my boys, but I have plans to, at some point in the future, read this aloud to them. I think I was really surprised by just how charmed I was by the character of Kate. I mean, Charlotte Mary Yonge consistently writes wonderful characters, so I shouldn't have been that surprised, but it was just such a delight. It's a really sweet book. It's a bit simple, but it's a children's story that it does what it sets out to do. And here's Kate. She falls down the stairs. And I love, so this story is about Kate, who is a very kind of rough and tumble, active girl, and then she receives an inheritance and becomes a countess and has to go live with 2 elderly aunts who she has not interacted with at all and has to live the refined and buttoned up life of a countess. And she's a bit miserable living that way. She tries, and she cannot be formal and buttoned up if, her life depended on it. So she's constantly trying to do better, and she just, you bring yourself with you wherever you go. And so she tries, and I found Kate such an endearing character. So yes, Countess Kate was highly enjoyable. And then we get to, the next 3 are all equally ranked for second place. Like, I don't know what order to put them in. So 2, 3, and 4, they're all equally ranked. So the order is insignificant for these next 3. First, I want to talk about Heartsease. And so this was such a lovely breath of fresh air that it was 2 Victobers ago. I think that's what it was. And I was hitting dud after dud for Victober, and I thought, I need something to save this Victober. And it just occurred to me to try another Charlotte Mary Yonge. I had loved the Heir of Redcliffe, and I think this was the second book that I read by her. I think that's what it was. And it was so delightful to read Heartsease and fall in love with a new cast of characters. It starts out when the youngest son in the family, who's been living away for a while, comes home with a brand new wife. And she is so young that they waited until her 16th birthday when she could be legally married. And so his mother and sisters have all of these not so charitable notions about Violet, who is his new bride. And they have all of these assumptions about her, and they just make it really hard for her when she's a new bride and she's so young and living independently from her family for the first time. She's living very far from the rest of her family. And so it's a really hard time for her, but you see the stuff that she is made of and the inner strength that she has. I will say there's a character in here who makes the most frustrating, foolish decisions, and you just have to watch the train wreck happen. But hang tight, because Charlotte Mary Yonge will always give you some kind of redemptive element. And as always in her books, she has such sparkling, lively conversations that somehow magically balance between all of the characters. And you see their personalities stay authentic in the conversations that they have. It's just it really does feel like magic when you're reading her books. Then the next one is The Three Brides, and this title kind of speaks for itself. There are three sons who are all fairly newly married, and when their mother is widowed, they move back home to be with her. And each bride has kind of her own vices and virtues that she brings to the table. And you see how this comes to play in the family dynamics. Another really interesting thing is in pretty much all of Charlotte Mary Yonge's books, there's going to be some kind of disability or chronic illness representation. And in this, one of the sons is albino, which I would never think to come across in Victorian literature. And she puts it in as an element of the plot so caringly and thoughtfully, where it talks about how he is albino, it talks about maybe some of the accessibility issues that he has, and then we move on and you get to know him as a fully fleshed character. And it's done just so thoughtfully and carefully. I love how the church year, the church calendar, is always a component of the plot. And I find it so I find it so kind of grounding. So you're getting a sense of time passing. And yeah, it's just, I love the spiritual elements to her books. And then the next one that is equal for second place is Chantry House. And Chantry House was especially fun because it has a bit of a ghost story in it. And much like in the Canterville Ghost, the reason the ghost is there haunting the house is because they have unresolved business. So our main family, whose last names escape me because there are so many names to keep track of in Charlotte Mary Yonge's books, but they inherit Chantry House. So they move far from their community and they come and to live in the new community. And there is a ghost that haunts just one section of the Chantry House. And so at first, when certain family members see the ghost, the other family members are like, really? I think you imagined it. You're really tired. What are you talking about? And then slowly they all see the ghost at different times. So then they have to uncover the mystery of who the ghost is, what happened to them that would make the end of their life have unresolved issues, and they figure that out. The main character in it, who I'm pretty sure he narrates the story, is disabled. And so Charlotte Mary Yonge, as always, just has that as part of the plot beautifully, where it feels authentic. It doesn't feel like a mere plot device, and it doesn't also glorify it and make it like, look at this character. They are so saintly because of their suffering. It doesn't strike that note at all. So that's a really enjoyable one as a really enjoyable one also. And then lastly, first place, and I think it's because the only one that I've reread, and I'm sure that I love it as much as ever, and that is The Heir of Redcliffe. The Edmonston family, I just find so near and dear. And this book starts off when there is a family, the Morville family, and they have a really tarnished family legacy. And so the heir comes to get to know this family. So Guy Morville is his name. And this book just has such a piece of my heart. And you really are, in all of Charlotte Mary Yonge's books, it feels very much that you are doing daily life with these characters. So it's not going to be anything that's breakneck speed. You have to be, if you like her writing, then I think you will enjoy her books. If you just settle in, just relax, sit with a cup of tea, and these characters are just going to invite you in, like, here, let us show you what this day in our life was like. And I just, the note of faith that Charlotte Mary Yonge has in her books is woven in so beautifully and organically. It does not feel forced. It just feels like this is such a significant role in the characters' lives. So why wouldn't it be kind of noted within the story? So I love the world of the Heir of Redcliffe. That you are going to need some tissues. I was a wreck, even more so when rereading this because I knew what was coming. It's so beautiful though. So please let me know if I convinced you to read any Charlotte Mary Yonge. And I really hope that you might enjoy her books. And I have so many more of her books that I want to read. I'm very excited that at the time that this video comes out, I will be reading The Pillars of the House, which is one of her very well-loved books. I think it's her longest one. It comes in around 1,000 pages. And I have a group of delightful friends who are reading it with me. So thank you as always for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and maybe I have convinced you to try some Charlotte Mary Yonge. And you would find her a new favorite author as well. Have a lovely day, everyone, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye!